Okay, perfect. Sorry.
Okay, I'll start over just so we have the context from the beginning. So we're going to be focusing on tags today. And what we're looking at here is my screen. Just want to start with what types of tags that we can use in Filevine and how they're used best to filter down on your projects. So to start with, we have project tags, we have document tags, activity tags, contact tags, and even tags that can be applied to doc gens from the back end. Jasmine, did I miss any? I think I got them all. Yeah, so what we're looking at here is my sandbox. I've filtered down so that we're only looking at one project type. And right away, the thing that you're going to see are all the tags that have been applied to the projects here. Some of these tags have been applied through an auto tag. So we'll get into auto tags a little bit later, but that's really where you're applying a tag based on the criteria you've assigned to a report. Some of the other tags in this view right here have been applied manually. So I'm going to click on one of these tags so you can see that that filtering capability is accessible right here in the activity feed. Just by clicking on that tag, it filtered down any of the projects that had that tag and removed the ones that didn't. So if I X that out, now I have my full list of projects right here. If I pop into one of these projects, we're going to see a few different tags around this project. So if I collapse that for a second, the first thing we're going to see is our project tag. So this project has been manually tagged with the tag master project. The way that I can identify that it's been manually tagged versus an auto tag is that it's just going to have this hashtag right before the name or the label versus a symbol like the Filevine symbol and the hashtag. That will indicate to you that that's an auto tag. Auto tags cannot be removed by users. The only way you can remove an auto tag is when that project or that item no longer fits the criteria of the report. The great thing to note about tags is that you can apply as many as you need to any of the items that I identified before, the projects, the documents, activity feed, any of those things. I'm going to click this trending tags right here. So this is available in your activity feed. So these are all the tags that have been used in this project. Again, the great feature, I click on this and this is going to filter down for me. So now I'm only looking at the activity items where I've applied that tag. One important thing to note about tags. You cannot remove tags unless you are the user who actually applied the tag. So if I come over here and I click edit, and I tried to remove that, when I go to save that, it's not going to let me do that. So unless I'm the user who applied it, I'm not going to be able to remove that tag. I can add a tag here just by coming in and adding that tag. So let's say communication. And there it is. I'll click that. And now I've applied that tag to this item right here. Another way that you can filter tags in the activity feed is just by this filter feature here. You come down to tags, the same thing, apply that tag search. And I'm going to look for communication. So I just applied that. And I'm going to hit OK. And here's my 3 items in the activity feed that have that communication client tag applied to that. Do you have any questions so far? Some things in the chat. Oh, just you. OK. Great. Okay, so those are the activity feed tags for the items there. I'm going to pop over to the document section because that's another place where we can apply tags. The same filtering capabilities are available here. When we come into the doc section, you can see that this document has the tag insurance. These documents don't have any tags because you don't see any labels applied here. I can filter in the docs section by typing in the hashtag insurance. And once I do that, it's going to show me any other documents that also had that tag. So it looks like this Allstate deck page had that tag, but that was in a folder. So I didn't see that on the top level for the root folder. If I X out of that, I see my my document list again. So how do you apply a tag for a document that you moved into the project? Maybe that document, you realize, you know what, I need to actually tag that. I'm going to come over here to this information symbol, and just as easy as typing. Once you select it, you can see that tag was automatically applied. If I want to remove it, I can remove it. Any questions about adding tags to the doc section?
The other thing with the docs section for items that you've for text messages or emails that you've put into the activities feed, they'll automatically come into this docs section and automatically tag attachment and text message or email, depending on which mode you've kind of brought it in from. So there is the ability to do some auto tags, right, that are not those project emails. And then there's a way through advanced, and Nikki may be getting to this, so I may be jumping ahead, to add those tags in as well that we'll dive into, so that you all can see, hey, maybe I don't want to have to manually input these tags for each document that I'm uploading. There are some ways to add in those auto tags.
Yes, so we'll jump into auto tags in a minute, but if we want to focus on document tags, we can also apply tags in Customs Editor so that when you generate a document using the DocDone widget, that document is automatically tagged, and you can also set it up so it's automatically foldered. So if you auto-generated this document through a DocDone widget, you could have it tag insurance, and then maybe you can even have it moved over to that insurance folder automatically. So that's something that is done in the Customs Editor feature. I am going to actually pop over there. I'm not sure how many Filevine admins are on the call today, but a part of the tag feature is that the Filevine admins with Tag Manager do control the creation of tags, editing, archiving, merging, or deleting tags. All users can add a tag to a project or even a contact, which I didn't show you. So you can add tags right here in contacts. So all users can add tags, but the management of those tags is actually limited to the Filevine admin responsible.
And there's a question, Nikki. Someone said it makes sense to tag minor or companion, but they're curious why it's useful to apply tags to docs when the search feature is available.
I see it used mostly as a really quick click of the button filter. So if I know that every time I generate an LOR, I'm tagging that document in a certain way, I could come into my docs section for that project and say, you know what, I just need to look real quick at those LORs. And then if it has a specific tag, then it's easy enough to just use that hashtag. You can always use the filter. And maybe the filter is maybe the search, you're just looking for LOR, it will work the same. But it's just another way to filter your documents.
And I think another thing to note is that your documents might not always be labeled with LOR, right? The titles of documents can be very different from what the actual content is. And maybe within the document, it never actually says LOR, but you know that that's something quick that your staff can remember as a way to search. And so by adding that tag, it kind of captures all of those documents, whether they're labeled properly or not, that those are LORs.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, great question. It's kind of hard not to go tag crazy because once you start using them, you're like, oh, I could use a tag for this, I could use a tag for that. So managing your tags and really organizing the use of your tags for your team in a way that is done in a methodical or at least a thought out way is important. Being careful not to go overboard with the tags where they become almost useless because you don't know when to apply them or there's too many to be applied. So I definitely recommend starting small, use a few that you think that would be most helpful. An example would be maybe identifying your primary or your companion project. So those are tags that you're not going to apply all the time, but when you do apply them, that may be something that's helpful for you. So you can quickly sort through to find primary projects, maybe medical records or even minor. And I'm going to show you that one as an auto tag because minor is something that you don't want to have to think about tagging. You just want, based on some criteria, the birth date of that client, you just want the project to be tagged minor automatically so that if you're moving quickly, you don't miss that. And then once that client moves past the age or the date range for their birthday and they're no longer a minor, they're automatically going to drop off that auto tag list and you don't have to remember to come back and actually remove them. So that's the great feature about the auto tags is that when that project or criteria is no longer met, that auto tag automatically comes off, and it doesn't require you to do follow-up work to get that tag off. So
asked about auto tags. How many can you set up, and is there a limit?
there is a limit, and I believe the limit is 15. I think it was increased to 15. Is that right, Jasmine?
Yeah, I think so. I think depending on what org you're under or shard you're under, will kind of determine that that cap.
Yeah. I've never really seen any firms go above like 10. I know, obviously you can go higher, but in terms of usefulness, I've not seen any firm max out at that 15. So
because there is a limit, we recommend maybe not utilizing, like for PI firms, your case type, because if you do MVA, you do dog bite, those could expel all 15 or all 10 of yours, depending again on which org you're at, super fast. And so we usually recommend to do something like minor or high value, or different things like that in the auto.
So since we're talking about the auto tags, I'm gonna pop over here real quick. So I set up 2 auto tags reports that one is going to identify the minor. So the way that I set this one up, I'm gonna let this run, is the criteria that will automatically tag projects with the minor. And it's taking a second to run. While that does, I'm just gonna open up a new screen here so we could take a look at the back end for a second. I'm going to come over to advanced, and then I'm going to go back down to the tag manager. So there's some really great features back here for those that are admins and are managing your tags for your firm. You're able to merge tags. So these 2 tags, maybe they were created, I didn't realize they were similar tags. I want to merge those 2 together. You can use this icon right here, merge tags. It's going to ask you to do that. And then it's going to say, which one do you want to select to be that final tag? Maybe I want to select that one, all lowercase, and then I'm going to select merge. So that happens, those 2 tags get merged, and now I only have 1 tag available that says accident report for my users to select. The great thing is I can also color code my tags. So if I decide that that's super important, I want to make sure that that tag has a color associated with it, I'll come over here and select this palette. And then from there, I can choose a color that I want to identify with that tag. So now my accident report is labeled blue, and anytime I use that tag, I'm going to see that color associated with it. Some other features, you can delete tags. Let's select this one. Maybe I really didn't mean to create that. That's not really useful. I just want to delete that. You could come in here, type the word delete, and then I'm going to delete that item. This one has been used, so I can't actually do that. So it will let you know when you cannot delete a tag, because in this instance, it's saying one or more tags is being used as either an auto hashtag or a custom field tag. So that's the great thing, that if this is being used somewhere in the backend in customs editor, it's not going to let you remove something that has been applied for a purpose. So for example, I was talking about docgens earlier. So maybe I have a docgen where I'm associating that tag annuity with it, and it's not going to let me remove that. If the tag is not associated with something like that, let's see if I could find, here's another good example of ones that I'd want to merge because they're so similar, using that merge feature right there. Let's see if I can move that one. I'm going to try and delete that. And there, it's not going to let me. So not picking good ones today to delete. I should practice beforehand. But that is how you would do that feature to delete the tags. You can also archive tags the same way. You just come over here, click this archive button, and that's going to archive that tag. Okay. Okay, trying to think.
One other thing you can do in this tag manager is combine. So like award and awards, maybe somebody went in and created a tag that's similar to one that you already have used. You can merge tags together. And then you'll choose again which verbiage you would like to show up and then merge them. If it's with a custom field or used in a different way, you can't merge them. So you'll have to go in and, undo that if you're trying to merge them, but would recommend this. And then also you'll see like attachment has a little description just under it, modifying the name or archiving this, like it gives you a description under there. You are able to add in descriptions. So if maybe you only want people to utilize a certain tag in a certain way, you can add in a description. And then when they go to type that in, it will show up just under the tag with the description, so that they know, hey, maybe I shouldn't be using this for this type of project or something along those lines.
Exactly. Any questions about managing this section? I'm not seeing any questions. Let me see, pop over here to my report. So here's the audit report that I was showing you earlier that is being used to identify projects where the client is a minor. So the way that I set this up is I use the all projects. I selected my project type. I selected the fields that I wanted to see in the columns, the name of the project type, client date of birth, their age, and any hashtags I had associated with that. Then in the criteria, what I selected here, the project client age is less than 19. You can choose any number. And then I ran this report. So now on the report, I'm seeing that I should expect to see one project where this tag is going to be automatically applied. So the way to set up the auto tag, the next step after creating that report is I'll come back into my advanced, I'll come up here to auto tags. So I already have that report created, but what I can do, I'll just walk you through the steps, is you would click add a project auto tag, you select the tag that you want to use. In this instance, I wanted to use minor. And then from here, I would select the report that I built in order for that tag to be applied. I've already done that. So right here, this is that auto tag that's being used. So if I come back into my project, I know that I've filtered this down to the personal injury template here. And if I wanted to search minor, I'm going to select that. And there's my project with the minor tag. So I'm going to take a look at that. So you see how this tag looks a little different? It has that Filevine icon right there. That's letting you know that this tag was applied through that auto tag function versus maybe another tag that I'd manually add. And I could say companion case. And when I save this tag, it's showing that the tag no longer has that Filevine feature.
When you are going in to create the reports for auto tags, if you saw Nikki named it auto tag, that way you and your team, if you choose to share that report with your team, they know exactly what that report's being utilized for so that they don't mess with it. Or that if there does need to be edits to that tag, you know exactly which report you need to go back into to kind of make those changes. So we would recommend anytime you're going in to make a report and you have criteria or it's being utilized in a different space, so an auto tag, a fusion, anything like that, that you do make sure that the name includes that in the report when you save it.
Yes. Another important note is that if you're a user who doesn't have admin permissions and you're trying to create an auto tag report using a tag that doesn't already exist, you won't be able to do that. So you'll have to just use tags that exist, or you'll have to reach out to your Filevine admin to ask them to add a tag if it's not available as part of the tag pickers. So that's one thing to note, is that the tag does have to be available in order for this report to run. And you do have to have permissions in order to add the tag if it doesn't exist. Okay. The other auto tag report I had here was the missing SOL. And when we looked at the project hub before, when I filtered down to personal injury, you can see that that missing SOL tag has been automatically applied. And the criteria for this report is that in my case summary, the statute of limitations due date is blank. And you can see that that's blank. So I have that tag applied right here. So I kind of have ran through that really, really quick. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. Are there anything that anyone needed help with that I can help solve for, that Jordan and I could, Jasmine and I can help solve for?
While we wait for questions, Nikki, if you want to pop into Customs Editor really quick, we can show you all how to add tags into any of those like multiple file attachments. Again, not everybody's going to have access to the advanced tab, but if you do, through Customs Editor, you'll choose your project type. And then this works for all of the fields where you're maybe like uploading. So those attachment fields or multiple file attachments. You can either use Command or Control F to like narrow down the search so you're not having to scroll.
Attach, I can't remember.
Yep. And so if you click into those fields, you'll see that there's an area to automatically add tags. So again, for any document that's uploaded into this split fee agreement upload field, it will automatically tag it with whatever you've placed in here. And then just below it, you're able to add in an auto folder. So it will automatically go to that folder structure that you have in there. One thing that I found out recently is that if you create a folder structure and then you go in here and make it sent automatically to a folder, and then for some reason later down the line, you delete that folder from your folder structure and don't update this field here, it will create a like ghost folder. So if you uploaded something into this fee agreement, but deleted that intake folder, it will still create it if something gets uploaded here. So if you're seeing that happen, that's likely the reason for that ghost or phantom folder where you're like, this is not in my, I took this out of my folder structure or anything like that. You'll just want to come in here and make updates to this folder structure option there.
That's a good thing to point out because I know that's happened to other clients before when you're managing your folder structures and you forget where you've applied documents to automatically be stored. Yep.
And you can always add it into the notes section. So we have show when the referral source contains attorney in our internal notes. You can also put in like auto folder. That way you can search a little bit easier for which auto folder it's attached to, just giving reminders to your staff there as well.
Yeah, these notes really, really, really helpful. Definitely recommend if you're not using those already to incorporate that, especially when you have conditional logic entered. It will let you know where or how that field is being used. And sometimes that's really helpful from the front end. You can't always tell where there are conditionalities applied, but when you come on the back end, you can be like, oh, I didn't realize like that's a conditional field and I need to make sure I'm aware of that when I'm making any updates.
It looks like there's another question in the chat, Nikki. When an email comes in with an attachment, can you auto tag it with attachment needs to be labeled? Then we can have each paralegal run a report of these so they know which documents need to be labeled.
When emails come into projects, they're automatically tagged with the email tag. If they have attachments, they will include an attachment tag automatically. So that's what Jasmine was talking about earlier. So those are two tags that you don't have to worry about applying. So you could run a report or even filter in the project to see where those tags have been applied. And you can either apply additional tags based on the type of document that was entered, or maybe the type of communication that's come in. Maybe it's a client communication and you want to add a specific tag that identifies it as a client or something like that. So that may be helpful to build a report that you have sent to you, or maybe sent to that paralegal who would be responsible for that. And then anytime, you know, maybe even their assigned projects where there's emails that come in with those tags, they can go in and make sure they're tagged properly.
And you could also, if you're trying to look for a way for them to have a like to-do list, you could always create an auto task that repeats maybe every couple of weeks, for them to just remember to go into the projects, filter by hashtag email or attachment, and label those as needed. And then they'd go in and mark that task as complete. That way you all know, hey, everything up until this date has been labeled correctly and how it needs to. And then once they complete that task, another one will pop up. Same task, just different due date, for maybe 7 days out or 14 days, however many days you've kind of decided there.
Yeah, those repeating tasks are super helpful if you have actions that need to happen throughout the life of the project, or at least even throughout the life cycle of a phase or something like that.
Yeah. Any other questions? I know we also had communication on our kind of docket today, just running through some best practices for communication, but it looks like we do have one. Our firm is using the Outlook add-in. Is it possible to tag the email or attachment before posting to Filevine?
That's a really great question, and I'm not sure that. I know that you can rename documents, but I'm not sure about tagging. Do you know, Jasmine? That's a really great question.
No, I haven't. I haven't seen the tag option. I've just seen where you can choose which
Yeah,
project you want it attached to or associated with.
right.
But it should, since you're still bringing it into Filevine, it should still automatically have those attachments, because by pushing it into the project, you're putting it into the activity feed, which is where those attachment or where those tags get added. So it should still have it in there automatically again through the system.
Yeah, I'm just looking real quick. So you can add a comment, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not seeing a way to add a tag, but that would be something. Yeah, I'm not saying way to add a tag. You can add comments and you could task someone, but wonder if you can tag as well. We can always test it out. It's one way to do it. Communication. So communication can get really clunky in the activity feed, and there's so many ways to organize how you communicate. I know that one way that I find clients really find helpful is maybe sorting your type of communication by adding a note at the top of your project and pinning that to the project. One of the clients that I work with, they have that as a task. So as soon as that project comes in and they move that lead to more of an intake phase, they have their intake manager has a task to come in here and create a client communication note. Once that's created, they pin that to the project feed here. And then anyone who has notes on client communication is going to come in here and continue to add those notes here. So that way they can organize the client communications. They could add a tag to those notes, but now they have all that internal conversations that they had with the client organized in one place. So it's easy to sort through the activity feed and things like that. I've seen clients do it for all types, for medicals, for insurance information. So it can be used for any type of those communications. Again, this is where your tags are really helpful in organizing your communications, because if you have a lot of emails coming in, say from your insurance provider, and you want to tag them insurance, then you can use those filters to narrow down the type of communication that you have with specific parties, like I said, whether that be medical or insurance or examples like that. Anything else that you could think of when it comes to organizing the activity feed?
A really cool like communication, I guess, tool that I feel like a lot of people maybe don't know about or don't utilize as often is the Note This feature. And so for any document that you have within your your Filevine, whether it's in the doc section or in the section where maybe you generated a doc gen from, there's the note this feature. This allows you to take whatever document you're talking about and put it into the activity feed. So maybe somebody needs to, you know, review this document, or they need to have eyes on it, or it's going to be useful for whatever's coming up and you don't want them to have to go searching for it. You're able to, I usually mention someone because it's not a task that they would need to do. So plus at, and then their username. Maybe my username is
I know,
probably
I was trying to find mine too, and
yeah, we're probably not in the sandbox.
Yeah.
And so for those of you that maybe don't work with us, we always let people know to come up with a standard naming convention for your usernames. That way, when you're going through to do tasking and things like that, it's easy to search for the person because it's either their first name and last name or first initial last name, something along those lines. But you can mention somebody and say, hey, take a look at this document, or here's the document that you're going to need for today. And then you'll press save. It'll automatically post it into the activity feed with that document already attached, so that again, you don't have to go searching for it. It does show up below that pinned item that you have in there. Easy access, and you can always, you know, continue on the conversation below that. Whether it's good to go, maybe they need to review the document and you just want to say, hey, I checked this out. Awesome. Please send over whatever. Yep. That works out really well for communication. Looks like we have another question here. When an email comes in with an attachment, is there a way to change the hashtag, the attachment hashtag? Let's go ahead and see. I'm going to send an email to the project. I've never personally tried to change the hashtag, so I'm not certain about that, but I'm going to go ahead and send a document over into there.
That's a good question. I haven't tried that either. Change it to attachment named.
I just sent an email over to the project, so hopefully it will pop in there in just a few seconds, and then we can go ahead and see what those tags look like.
I'll refresh. Hopefully that'll come right in.
Yeah, sometimes emails do take a little bit longer to get in into the project, especially if they have attachments, but we'll check back in on that and then let you know.
There it is.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and go to the doc.
So here's our document. I'm going to close out. Recent received. Did not tag it.
If you go into the docs section.
Oh, in the docs section. Thank you.
Looks like you cannot edit those.
Yeah, I don't know.
So if you click into them, you won't be able to do them, but you are able to manage the tags there on the side. So you could always add that needs attachment renamed or something along those lines. You can add that into that tag option there.
Yeah, so what we did there was we have it set up so that we have an automation set up in our sandbox so that any emails that come in are automatically being folded to this email attachments folder. The tags that are normally applied to those emails with attachments are the email and attachment. So what I did was come over here to the docs section and remove those tags. And if you wanted to do attachment renamed, you could do that here and then create, if that tag was already created, you could then apply it to this actual document right here. So if you're not using an automation like the one we have set up in here, your email will most likely come into the root folder, and that's where you would be able to manage those tags for that document.
Awesome. We mentioned adding in those tags for multiple file attachments. You can also do them for docgens, which is nice in Customs Editor. You can go ahead and add in that already scripted folder and tags for your docgens. And then docgens are also one of those items that you can note. So you can always note this here in the activity feed. Some other communication that is somewhat new to Filevine is the sidebar right up at the top right hand corner. It's kind of like instant messenger for those of you that used AIM or that utilize, any social media that has the ability for you to kind of direct message somebody. You can choose who you're trying to message. You can add them to the sidebar and have a communication or have a conversation with them. They can respond back to you. And, you can go through, excuse me, dialogue there. And then you can also go ahead and add those, maybe from that conversation, a task has come up, something where you're like, okay, great, they do need to do this. You can go ahead and task them. Just down at the bottom, there's 3 options. There's a task, add to project, or notes. So if you want to task them, you can say, great, here's the project. You can change that project. You can assign it to whoever you need to. Maybe that person's not even in the sidebar with you, but you're like, hey, from this conversation, our paralegal does need to do something set for this day, and here's what needs to be done. And again, assigned to a specific project. This helps, I guess, when you have some like one-off items there. Or if you're just not in a project, but you're like, we need to get a couple of tasks out, and through this conversation, you can continue adding there as well.
Yes.
Any questions so far?
It doesn't look like we have any other questions. Has everybody found this helpful? I hope so.
Yes, hopefully this has definitely helped. Some other just general Filevine related things that maybe have come up since the last time you all started with Filevine. Filevine does have a Filevine University, and that is a library of training videos or training resources, or just refreshers for you all on different topics within Filevine. So you can always go there to take the courses, learn a little bit more or deeper info about, again, a variety of topic areas within Filevine. They do have, do we have a list of commonly used tags? I believe somebody on our team did work on something like that. So if you want to shoot us an email, we can get that sent out to you, just to maybe spark some ideas for you all, even if you don't utilize them, might help get the gears going for those. So just send us an email. I'm gonna, for those of you, just in case you came in after I sent the first message, I'll put Nikki and my email back in the chat there. Spell. Perfect. That question mark up at the top where we saw Filevine University also has where you can find Filevine support. So if you ever want to read articles about different, again, topic areas within Filevine, you can go there. The help center, will take you there. That status page just below it lets you know kind of what's going on with Filevine. So if you're like, hey, there seems to be maybe an outage or something along those lines, or something's acting a little funny, you're able to go in and see, is it just me and do I need to contact Filevine support, or is maybe there's something larger kind of going on there. You can also share your feedback with Filevine. So if there are things that you want to see, so things like, hey, we want to be able to add tags, or edit tags or add tags into the add-on before we push stuff over into there. You can always share your feedback. You're also able to see the feedback that other folks have already given so that you can upvote. So you would just open in Portal and look at that dashboard. You can type in the topic of kind of what you're thinking about. the dashboard just over to the left-hand side. It's like 4, yep. And there's a list. You can see, hey, I want to upvote this, or no, I don't want this. Filevine does look at this portal to determine what's going to come next in their production, as far as features that they'll be working on. So we have folks that will come in here every so often and like start upvoting stuff. And we encourage clients to do the same, because again, Filevine works to make this product better each and every day, and so it helps to have you all's feedback. And is there any tips with communication and the task feed not turning into an overwhelming list? Yeah, so that task feed, you're right, could be overwhelming, especially as you have a ton of cases. The one at the top is global. So you can see we have a ton of overdue tasks located in here. I think one way to kind of manage these, or that I like to manage them, is go case by case and go through and do those. If you're just wanting to communicate about a task or anything like that, you could always utilize the sidebar or just go directly into the activity feed without making it a task. One thing to remember about tasks is that it's something that you want someone to do, not necessarily like, hey, I have an update, let me task you. You can always just mention them if it's just something that's an update. Tasking assigns an actionable item and has a due date assigned to it. To mention, you'll just do plus at. It won't pop up here in your task feed, because again, it's not something that you have to do. It's just something that you wanted to update them on. We also recommend within these kind of activity feed items, so whether it's notes, tasks, anything along those lines, that you go ahead and put updates. So especially for tasks, if this is something that you've completed or there's any updates, you go ahead and write that into this notes section. So if anybody is like, okay, where is she at with this? She completed it, but is it actually done, or was she just trying to clear out her task feed? You've added in notes to let folks know, hey, this has been done. It wasn't a fluke or anything like that. And that may help there with some of that.
I do that all the time. Like, I'll mark it done, and I always put done so that someone knows, like, I wasn't just in there marking things or Xing things out, because sometimes you question, like, did they do it? I don't know. So yeah, that affirmation that was done is really, really helpful. And just a quick note too, if you're having trouble keeping up with the tasks that are showing up here, it's also nice, you can create a report for yourself so that you maybe receive a report every morning with all of your incomplete tasks. And you could have that auto delivered to you to pop into your email box. And that way you can use that report. It has links to the projects and those tasks, and you could click right on each one and go through them and knock them off, each morning. If this feels a little overwhelming going through each one of these in your task feed here. So it's always an option. Sorry, Jasmine, I totally.
No, that was great. Like, you covered everything.
Totally jumped in there.
No, I appreciate it. And I was just trying to think if there's any other communication tips that we can kind of give here. I think you can utilize the tags as communication as well, right? Hashtag complete or hashtag, client call or anything like that. I know for communication, that's usually a big one. Maybe not internal communication, but that communication with a client, it's a lot more difficult to track what was discussed on a phone call or an in-person meeting over just, having an email be pushed into the activity feed. And so making sure that you are utilizing notes. Some folks do choose to create a communication section within Filevine as opposed to using the activity feed, because the activity feed will have a lot of content in there with text messages, emails, tasks, and all of that. And so if having that one pinned item at the top for client communication doesn't really work for you, you can create a section on the side that's a collection section item that has your client communication there as well. I know some folks need to have a track record of the conversations that they've had with clients. That way, if anybody checks in or asks, they're able to say, this date, this time we talked to the client and here's what was said. And so that might be better served in a section as opposed to within the activity feed. So something to consider there as well. Yep. Awesome. hopefully you all learned a little bit today. Nikki, thank you so much for all of your knowledge. If you all are interested in any of VineSkill services, we kind of run the gamut on all things Filevine. So lead docket, FVDA or Outlaw, we do automations, we do migrations, we do Domo or Periscope. We have a wide book kind of offerings, and we're also offering free audits. So for those of you that have been in Filevine for a while and are maybe like, okay, we've gone through a lot of iterations of sections because it's so customizable. You know, we kind of went crazy and now we're needing to rein it back in, or Filevine has changed some of their functionality. And so sections that we were using, we're not utilizing anymore or could be utilizing better. We will do a free audit for you to kind of let you know, hey, here's where some improvements can be made. If you choose to retain our services to make those edits, great. But if not, no worries. Our goal is to help you all really be effective with Filevine. That free performance audit is on our website. I'll go ahead and link it into the chat as well. You can go on there to request a free audit. You'll chat with one of our optimizers to kind of see, again, what would be best for you all as you move forward. On our website, again, we do have all of these recordings posted. We also have recordings from just our team. So if you are like, I have questions about QuickBooks Connect, there's videos that our QuickBooks person has done all on QuickBooks. And I can go ahead and maybe share my screen just quickly to show you all what our website looks like. So you'll just go here to the Learn tab, Filevine training videos, and you'll see they're broken up by category as soon as my computer loads. So if you're a contingency firm or for time and billing for QuickBooks, we also have lead docket items, doc assembly, Outlaw, FVDA, they're all kind of the same thing there, our free help. So you all can always come here to watch videos as well. For anyone that does work with us, we do also give you a library of training videos as a Filevine project so that you'll always have access to that in a nice, convenient location. You can kind of poke around to see any other services that we offer. We do have a couple of apps. So for folks that have lead docket and maybe want a more comprehensive look at your data within lead docket, pulling some different reports, things like that. That's what that dashboard does. And then our magic box of skills is actually super cool. It's some of the things that a lot of folks ask about that Filevine can't natively do, but this magic box of skills is able to accomplish. So we're able to recycle obsolete fields, phase change notifications. So I know some folks have asked about this, and then a cleanup of your docs. Some of those auto tags that we talked about are located in there. So you can always check this out, see if that's something, any of this stuff is anything that you're interested in. Smart mailroom is also another big one for those of you that utilize faxing. We are able to upload this smart mailroom and can kind of do a few more things within that Filevine mailroom that the system, again, can't natively do.
So Jasmine, go back to that magic box of skills. So that email before that I was showing how the attachment automatically was navigated to that folder that was labeled email. That was our automation that cleans up your docs so that it moves emails with attachments into any folder that you have specified. So that's what that was highlighting right there. And one other thing before, I'm not sure who asked the question, hopefully you're still on the line. With the Outlook add-in, I just tested it. If you use the section when you're attaching an email to be sent over, there is a place where you can add notes. If you add the hashtag there, it will come over into the project. So you can tag your emails directly using the add-in. So just wanted to share that before we hung up.
Thanks, Nikki. That's super helpful to know. For those of you that haven't gotten the added yet, would recommend eliminates a step for you all having to go in and copy the project email, add it in. You can just manage it directly from whichever email provider that you have, and can do a few more things that you can do if you just CC it, like adding that hashtag. So that's super helpful. Again, if you all have any questions or would like to retain any of our services, definitely feel free to reach out. If not, hopefully we'll see you all next week for our next session of free help, which let's go ahead and pop in here to see what topic it is. I think it's activity feed and task management. Yep, feed, task management, and calendaring. I know a lot of folks have questions about calendars. And so if that's you, definitely hop on or customs editor the week after. This is right before Thanksgiving. Not sure if you all are off, but we'll be here. So definitely feel free to join us, and then Ask Me Anything kind of closes out our November timeline. That's an open-ended. You all can just come in, ask any questions that you have, or just hear other folks' questions to see how they're utilizing their Filevine. We've had some really great folks kind of pop into the Q&A and ask or answer questions from how they're utilizing it. And so that's super helpful as well. We love to help create community here at Vine Skills amongst all of you all that are utilizing Filevine. So continue doing that. And thank you all so much for joining us. If you need anything, reach out. If not, hopefully you all have a great day.
Thanks.
And thanks. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jasmine. Bye.